to the Merry Marvel Marching Society. March along, march along, march along to the song of the Merry Marvel Marching Society.
Hello and welcome to Comic Corner, the only show that has its own personal comic book man, your host, Preston. Today, we have some sad news to discuss in the recent announcement from AMC that the television show Comic Book Men has been cancelled. I'm really disappointed about this news because I enjoyed Comic Book Men. I enjoy Kevin Smith's films and his personality is great. If you haven't listened to any of his podcasts or even look at his panels on YouTube, they're always so delightful to watch and really gives you an insight into the kind of person he is and what kind of director he is and how he makes movies. And just, if you don't know Kevin Smith, you're really missing out. Point is, I like Kevin Smith. I like Comic Book Man. I'm really sad the show is going to be leaving. It was one of the things I really looked forward to at the end of the week on Sunday night. I remember back in high school, I had to go to bed. I had to go to bed for school. I had the next day, but I couldn't help but stay up till midnight just to see the newest episode of Comic Book Men because I always enjoyed. First, the reason I watched Comic Book Men is because I was always interested in what kind of stuff was going to be brought into the comic book store. Yes. Oh, that stuff's staged, and they do it beforehand. Yeah, that's how the show works. They're not having the cameras running 24/7. Of course, we know that, but still, these are real fans who had some really cool memorabilia and some really out there stuff. Like, there was this one guy who came in and he had toilet paper, and it was Marvel toilet paper, and it had a Marvel comic that you couldn't get anywhere else. If you wanted to read the comic, you had to get the toilet paper. Like, who's heard of that? Or this board game, this old-time Marvel board game that came in, and Walt really enjoyed it when he was a kid, and they just bought it outright. The cool and unique items is what brought me into Comic Book Man. It's what made me want to watch the show in the first place, but I stayed because of the interactions between the comic book men themselves, the people who run Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash, because they were real people. This wasn't like stage stuff. And I know some of you guys are going to say, that's shows like that are scripted and such, but the way they talk to each other, the way they acted, it's how I talk to my friends. I see other people talk. They were real people. They were actual comic book fans. Maybe not Brian. He was kind of like I always consider him like the Alan Moore of the group. Like, he doesn't like comics, yet he's here in this comic book store. I think he's just there just to pick on Maine, because who doesn't love to pick on Maine? So I mean Chen, he seems like a nice guy. But yeah, it was their interactions and Kevin Smith listening to the weird stories of them coming in. That's what made me stay. And I still remember the first episode of them going to like this, not a garage sale, just this big flea market, and they had their own stuff they wanted to sell. And they were like buying their own products just to smash them, and like other people were getting kind of annoyed by them. I don't think they were kicked out or not. They were close to being kicked out. Or them going to an auction house to see who could get the coolest item for the least amount of money. Like, those things were really cool. I always enjoyed that stuff. You always learn something about the comic book industry or comic books themselves, and anything about pop culture, you always learn from this show. I can't believe it's been 7 seasons. I'm really going to miss it because they don't have the show on Netflix like they used to. I remember like seasons 1, 2, and 3 were on Netflix, and then it was just 2, 3, and 4, and then it was just gone. Maybe now that the show's ended, they'll put those episodes back on Netflix, or maybe I have to go to AMC.com. I don't know. Point is, though, I'm going to miss the show. It was something to really look forward to. I know there's still the podcast, but it's not the same, I'm really sad the show's gone, and I'm going to miss it. I know that for the last couple years, I believe it's Mike, Ming, and Walter. No, not Walter, Brian. Walter's the only one who's never come to my local comic book convention. Used to be called Kamikaze, now it's called the LA Comic-Con. He's the one who won't come because he has something about flying on airplanes. I don't know what that's about. But if they show up this year, I'll be sure to say hi to them and say like, hey, sad the show's gone. But still, 7 seasons and nearly 100 episodes. That's a real stinger. Just one more season, they would have hit 100, okay? This is a show where they had, like, Dean Cain and, Ming and Mike got married one time. It was a really cool show. I met Robert Englund stopped by, and he got some interesting Nightmare on Elm Street facts and even some Star Wars trivia. See, there's so much stuff that you learn from watching this show, and so many cool items to keep your eyes out. If you're like me, I go to a lot of conventions, and sometimes I'll see, like, oh, hey, there's that thing that was on that one episode of Comic Book Men. That was pretty cool. I think I wanted that. I might go and get that. So yeah, it's sad that Comic Book Men is gone. I'm going to miss it. But I'm sure whatever future endeavors the Comic Book Men themselves will be in, which is, let's be honest here, it's probably going to be a podcast. Thank you for watching Comic Culture. Without Comic Book Men, I don't think I'd be doing the show, because it's one of the inspirations that made me want to do something like this. So, thank you to Walt, Ming, Mike, and Brian, and of course, Kevin Smith, for being one of my highlights on Sunday nights for the last 7 years. Thank you, and good night.
You belong to the Merry Marvel Marching Society. March along to the